How many members of the Virginian posse are here this weekend? Do we know? No, I need a number. No, hey, I'm not going to count all those. 300? How many? No, 450. You lie worse than Gary Clark. Come on. Anyway, we appreciate the Virginian posse being here, and we appreciate the 8 members of the series that are going to be up here with me in just a minute. But let me start off with an intro to the Virginian.
Feel lucky? Feel lucky?
Well, we feel lucky to have 8 members of the Virginian cast from over the years in no particular order here. Don Quine, Sarah Lane, Diane Roeder, Randy Boone, Roberta Shore, Gary Clark, L.Q. Jones, and the Virginian James Drury. Make them welcome.
Whatever, yeah. I'll stay here. You can skip a one and see if anyone sits next to me. Okay, I'm assuming James is sitting. The girls can sit together. Yes, that's a good plan. I was telling Diane, I thought we were on a stool, sort of the last. I saw some pictures. I thought it looked like you guys were on stools or something. It looked comfortable.
Jim, right here.
But maybe I'm wrong. The last panel, another year. Oh, never mind. I'm just so glad. But we're not on a hard stool out here. Yes. Oh my goodness! Well, aren't I a lucky one? We can move down, Randy. Oh, sweet. Although you don't have to worry so much. You're not wearing a shirt or anything. Randy, you're going to join the women over here.
Find yourself a seat down there on the bottom. We'll try to look.
Leave your love life to later, LQ, and sit down.
Yeah, we got it. Are we good?
Let's deal with love first.
I think we are.
You know, there has never been a film festival in the history of these Western film festivals, whether it's B-Westerns or TV Westerns, where I was able to assimilate 8 members of one TV show in one sitting. This is a first. You're witnessing history.
We're certainly proud to be here, Boyd, all of us.
I know you are, and we're proud to have you here, Jim.
Thank you very much. Are we going to start now, or is this
I thought maybe you wanted to say something in that context.
unaccustomed
Sorry,
as
he's busy, but I'll take over.
unaccustomed as I am?
He's not shy.
Well, it is truly remarkable that 50 years after the start of the Virginian, we have all of these members of the cast still here, still vertical, still able to get around. And I think it's a tribute to the show. You know, there's a great therapeutic value to the acting profession. John Barrymore could sit in his dressing room on Broadway, drunk as a skunk. He couldn't even walk. And they'd come on and said, "Mr. Barrymore, you're on." He'd say, "How am I doing?" And then they'd prop him up and push him on stage, and he'd be Hamlet. And he would give you a Hamlet that would set your hair on fire. And they'd go back to the dressing room, and he'd collapse. So we become other people, and all of the frailty and all of the illnesses and all the thousand ills that flesh is heir to, as Shakespeare said, that beset us as we get older, drop off when we assume our roles. And it's wonderful to be here and be so adored by so many people. I can't believe we've got. First of all, I can't believe we've got a posse at all. Then I can't believe we've got 200 or 300 people in that posse, and it's getting bigger all the time. You folks are just remarkable. Your devotion to the show is a constant inspiration to us and keeps me out on the road pounding down the highway. So a lot of these folks fly when they get here. I don't do that. I get in the car and drive, and I bring my guns with me. So it's awfully nice to be here, and we'll go from there. I'm sure there's going to be questions, but I know Boyd will have quite a erudite and articulate statement of principles.
What were those words?
Erudite and articulate.
There's my thesaurus.
Boyd, why don't you open it? You usually do.
What I wanted to start, I thought we'd go down the panel and ask each of you what it meant, your feelings about being a part of this great show that has lasted for 50 years and your part in it. Randy, start off.
Thank you very much, Boyd. It's wonderful to see all of you. Hello again. I'm so glad you all came today, and everybody's here safe and healthy and feeling good. I bumbled into Los Angeles, and I was in the back seat of the car. Some cars were driving, and then one of the guys turned around and looked at me and said, "Hey, what do you think you're gonna do while you're here in L.A.? I understand you're just hitchhiking through." And I said, "Well, I thought I'd maybe keep singing some of the clubs around here like that, and then while I'm here, I would try a little acting," and they all started giggling. He's going to try a little acting while he's here in L.A. And one of the other guys, they went on. He said, he's just the kind of guy that might get a job. He'll have a star role or be in a big movie, probably, because he doesn't know it's hard. He just thinks you just come to town and go up to the door and say, "Hey, I want to be an actor." Sure, come on in. The way that it happened was that one of the fellows I met as I meandered around from the folk club to folk club, getting gigs. We all, try to make bucks and live and meet girls and things guys do. And one of the fellows I met had an agent, and he was trying to get a job, and he was on an interview, and he noticed a part for a bumpkin of a country boy, a naive country boy that picks a guitar that kind of appears in this show, and these other fellows rescue him because they're afraid somebody's going to knock him over the head and take what little he has, and he's not going to give it. So he said to the producer, "Who have you cast for this part?" And they said, "Well, we haven't cast anybody yet. As a matter of fact, we're having a difficult time, and we're bringing in some fellows from Nashville and around the country. We can't find anybody realistic." and he said, "Well, look, I know this kid I just met. He hitchhiked down into Los Angeles from North Carolina, and he he well, I don't know. Maybe he did say he dumb as a post, but I think he said he's naive. And anyway, said and he plays guitar, and he looks like this was written about him. And the guy said, "Well, we don't care. Bring him in if he looks like he could be good for the part. We'll give him a shot at it." And so Peter Tewksbury was the producer of the show. The show was called It's a Man's World. And they had me come in. They gave me an interview. And then later on, when I was working at a little folk club up in San Jose, California, I got a call. And he said I got the job if I wanted it. And I said, well, yeah, I guess so, you know. And then that was it. That's how I got into television. From there, I went to the Virginian and other roles, and that was the way I got into show business. I don't suggest that route if you're really serious about trying to get into it. But
Great. Good. Randy Benton, Randy Boone. Sarah, how about you? What has the series meant to you over the years?
I'm Sarah. Hi. And
No, you were Elizabeth.
I'm Elizabeth also.
Today you're Elizabeth.
Yes, and Libby. My Charles Bickford called me Libby. My dad was an actor. My mom was too, but my dad worked. He was in every Western and every show forever. And I wanted to act, but they'd been in the theater and they didn't want any stage brat. So they said, you have to be old enough before you can do anything. And I did one movie when I was 15, and then I started about the time of that I was hired for the Virginian. I started interviewing for things, and I was sure I was going to be the Connie somebody for the yogurt series. I was just sure I'd gotten that, and I was sure I didn't get the Virginian, but I really, really wanted to do the Virginian. And, you know, as I was here today, I was remembering some of the things that happened, and I think a large part of the reason I got it was because of Don Quine. When we interviewed together, he was hired first, and he was so dear to me, and we looked alike, which helped, and we had fun together, which is probably a pretty good thing for a brother and a sister. And so it happened, and I was absolutely dumbstruck when they called. And I was so thrilled because I was a real horse nut. I was horse crazy, but we didn't, actors like my dad didn't make a lot of money, so we never had any fancy horses. We had backyard horses, and we had the horses when the stables were done with them. So they were at our house instead of the glue factory. And I got on the show, and what did it mean to me? It was like coming home. I mean, everybody there was so dear, and our relationships are almost the same now. I'm still calling Jim when I need to find out something. It's like, well, tell me what Jim is going to do, I follow him, because that's the role I had in the show. And I can hang and joke with Don, and it's so much fun to be with my women friends. It's hard. We call each other girls. These are such dear people, and it was a really remarkable time. And something else for which I'm so grateful, and I want to thank all of you, as is very typical in the business, we left after the 8th season and said goodbye, but we knew we'd see each other in the 9th season. And sometime during that hiatus, I found out that I wasn't coming back because it was the men from Shiloh. And I never said goodbye to anybody. And I don't want to be weepy here. It was so sad. And no one did anything wrong. That's what you do in television. But I was young. I was 20 years old. And I was embarrassed, because I was in a show and then I wasn't in a show. It was very strange. So this is such a gift to come back and to see all of you and to see everyone from the cast and to kind of finish some stuff that 41 years ago, and it hadn't been finished yet. So I'm so pleased, and I'm so pleased that I was backed into a corner last year. While you were doing the panel, I spoke to you a bit on the phone, and I guess I made a promise that I'd be here. I tried everything because I didn't, sometimes you don't want to finish things even though it would be good for you, and I'm so grateful to you all for being here. The show meant the world to me.
That goes double for me. I just forgot to say it. And that was wonderful, Sarah, what you said.
And come hang out with me because it is so much fun. It is so much fun to get to meet all of you guys.
Diane?
That's it.
Diane, how do you feel? What was it like for you?
I almost feel like I don't have to say anything, that I could just say ditto to everything that Sarah said. I mean, really, I am so touched. I mean, for one thing, I'm so grateful to be here, and it's just been wonderful. It's being like dropped into a family reunion of hundreds of people, and just feeling so much warmth and love, which is what Jim told me it would be like. I tend to run on the introverted side, despite what people might think about actors. One of the things I really loved about acting, which I started when I was very young, is that I could just slip into somebody else. And that was very, very great. As myself, it was a little more difficult. And so I really resisted this. And I talked to Jim so many times on the phone. And
well, we didn't know what we could do with the doggies, and we didn't know what we could do with the pond in the backyard. We didn't know how we were going to get it done, and what's going to happen with the mail, and what are we doing?
It's true.
I said,
It's
just
all
come
true.
down to Tennessee. You'll be amazed. You will be amazed. And these ladies have been amazed. That weren't, Sarah and Diane were not used to doing this. We've been the rest of us have been doing a lot of appearances together for some time, for the last several years, but they're just not used to it. And it's such a wonderful way to start out in the appearance business, to see the posse and everyone that's here. So I know you've made these girls feel welcome, and I'm very grateful for that. I really am.
It's so true. Jim told me about the posse, and I couldn't have imagined how wonderful it is. And in fact, I was saying to my daughter last night, I said, I've just decided what the apex of success in life is. It's not anything that people think. It has nothing to do with money. I think, or fame, or I think you really know that you've had a great life when you have a great posse. Like Jim does. I mean, what a posse. I mean, you guys are just amazing. I am so happy to have this bracelets and be part of this posse. I mean, it's just wonderful. Rachel and I have been
that way before.
It's really, I think it's the metaphor that has to be taken over. And as far as what Sarah said too, the same thing happened to me when I left the show. It was so amazing. I read something in the trade papers about. I was working, and I pick up the trade papers, and it's something like, I think it said Diane Roeder, and I think it said Randy. Was that, were you on the 5th, or were you gone on the 4th, too? I think it said Diane Roeder and Randy Boone are not coming back next season. Yeah, I read it. And so I went to our producer, one of the producers, I forget, I said, what's it? Oh, don't worry about that. That's not true. They don't know what they're saying. They'll just write anything. And I thought, okay. And then as it turned out, it was true. So that's sort of how they did things in Hollywood. And so I had this kind of unfinished feeling myself. And I was still in high school. And it was like, 1 week I'm in the on Shiloh Ranch. And the next week I was in Venice High School. I mean, it was sci-fi. It was really great. So it is so great to see you, and it's so great to see you guys again. I'm not that good with the mic. Can you guys hear me if I just project? Really?
Can you hear in the
good.
back?
Because actually, I was raised in the theater, and I much prefer using my voice than the mic. I know people are comfortable with a mic, but if you can hear me, I'm real much happier using my.
If you can't hear her, raise your hand.
You can't hear me? Oh, I can't hear you.
Can you hear her all the way back there?
If you can't hear me, raise your hand.
In the house.
Check the people in the
Anyway,
parking
it's
lot
just-
if they can hear, please.
And the funny thing is, I was so happy to see Sarah again. I was very excited about that. And it's one of the things I said to Jim. I said, Sarah coming? Am I going to see Sarah? Because I had seen Sarah. We weren't on the show together, obviously, but I'd seen her afterwards. And I had such a sweet memory of her. She is really one of the sweetest
We lived in the
persons.
same neighborhood.
We did. We lived in the same neighborhood. Metaphorically and geographically. And so it was just great to see her. And then Dawn, that I actually didn't work with on the Virginian, we did a TV Guide story together. We demonstrated yoga poses. If you
I'd like to have seen that.
Oh, I can send it to you, but I know that you'd get upset if I emailed it to you, Jim, because you don't like the computer. But I'll snail mail you a copy of that.
It may be stale mail to you, but to me, it's the United States Post Office.
There you go. That's true.
For now.
But that was really funny. It's a 1967 article of TV Guide, and to give you an idea of how much things have changed, because I think probably yoga is popular everywhere now, but now in LA there are as many yoga studios as there are Starbucks, probably more. There's probably like 3 on it.
My daughter teaches yoga.
There you go. And that's not even in LA, right?
No, it's in Scottsdale, Arizona.
That's something. Well, at that time, I got a phone call from TV Guide saying, we're doing an article on actors that do yoga, and we hear you do yoga. And I said, well, yeah. And so would you come down? And then there was Dawn, and John Saxon was also there. And I guess he was here last year, and I thought he was going to be here. He did a great headstand. And I just said to Dawn earlier, I said, can you imagine how much trouble they would have finding actors that do yoga today? I mean, they would have trouble finding an actor who doesn't do yoga. I mean, it was really strained.
Well, there's a few of us left,
If you can take your shirt off.
but I'm all in favor of it. I've just never done it. I think it's wonderful. Just go ahead and do it if you can do it.
I think LQ will be very happy to take his shirt off and do a demonstration.
Yeah, you will. You will. Okay.
Well, I'm going to pass this on to Roberta. And I forget what the question was anyway.
I do too. I was going to ask you today. What was the question?
What the series has meant to you over the years?
Oh, okay. Well, that's easy for me. What the series has done for me is, first of all, I'm a bigger boob than all you guys put together. So, anyway, but it's been great for me to have a relationship with Jim and Gary and Randy and, of course, Doug. We all miss Doug. I got my first and only real screen kiss from Doug McClure. So, it was awesome.
I didn't.
So did LQ.
I did.
What did we just say? So did LQ? Is that what you said?
I missed something. What was it? I was
I don't-
sleeping.
Now,
Oh,
ask him what LQ
but
said.
anyway, it's the fun thing, the really fun thing, is doing these reunions. I mean, I had when was it, Gary? 2-3 years ago. I hadn't seen Gary in like 40 years. Hadn't seen Jim in like 35, and Randy in the same. And It's been wonderful. The show was such a great experience for me. I met so many wonderful actors and really good actors, and to have somebody like Lee J. Cobb to be able to, he helped me through scenes, and Jim swore a lot. So
Really?
No.
I'm doing it just not in front of you.
No, I'm teasing. Okay, but anyway, it's been wonderful. It's so wonderful to be here with you guys. When we walked in the posse room, and everybody applauded. Oh my gosh, your ego just goes to the ceiling. So thank you, posse, for everything. This is wonderful. This is wonderful. Thank you for having us back, and I'll let Jim tell the swearing story. Okay.
All right, this is the swearing story. When I make a mistake, it has a tendency to make me pretty angry. And when I make a second mistake, it has a tendency to make me really angry. And when my phone rings during a panel, I got to take this, folks. Hello? John, I'm in the middle of a panel discussion with 400 people. I'll call you back later. Okay, thank you. 450. All right, here we go. Anyway, most of my anger is volatile and instantaneous and has to do only with me. I'm only mad at myself. But when I get angry, I swear a blue streak. And it gets bluer and bluer and bluer. It gets so blue it's purple. And I have no consciousness of anybody else around me. I'm just mad at myself. I'm not going to repeat anything. Don't worry. You don't have to cover your ears. But I would say things that would curl your hair. And after about 3 or 4 months of this, Roberta Shore, dear, darling Roberta, our Betsy, our girl, our little sister, our girl that Doug and I would give up our lives for to protect. She comes up to me and she says, "Mr. Drury, I'm sick and tired of your swearing. I don't like it. It offends me and it makes me very unhappy, and I don't want you to swear anymore." Well, by golly, I didn't after that. I started watching myself when my language around anybody. If I could find a place to go out where I could swear by myself, then I was all right. So that's what I've tried to follow ever since then. But it was a wake-up call for me because I didn't realize that I was offending her, and I was offending her, and it was making her very unhappy. And we didn't want Roberta to be unhappy. We didn't want any of the ladies to be unhappy ever. So we did everything we could.
Yeah.
I don't remember you swearing.
Well, I try to keep. She cured me of that. No, she just absolutely put her foot down, and that was all there was to it. And believe me, when she puts her foot down, it's a big foot. So anyway, that's that story, and that happened at the very beginning of the show, and we got along fine. After that, there was no problem. So
I want to tell the singing story. Oh, okay. I have to tell you, maybe some of you, if you were here last year, heard it, but there were times when we would have to go out on location, and we'd have to leave. I mean, I'd be in makeup at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be in a limo taking us out to locations at like 6 o'clock. And one morning we were all driving out, and Jim and Doug were there, and they both had hangovers. And, of course, I was this young 18-year-old teenager, and I was always so full of energy, and I am just singing my lungs out. And Jim got mad, and they would never ride with me again. Ever ride with me again.
I want to be in America.
I want to be in America, everything free in America, everything.
Try that with a hangover. Oh, it drove me nuts. Anyway, we made accommodations. But in answer to your question, Boyd, what the show's meant to me, It's been a life-changing experience. I had no concept when we started that we would have the kind of longevity we did, that the show would have the kind of impact it has had all over the world and all over the country. People have been thoroughly devoted to it. I see a friend of mine named Cristiano coming up here in the aisle, and he came all the way from Brazil to see us. Can you imagine? Let's hear it for Cristiano. There's a lady here from Australia. There are people from all over that come to see it because the show has gone worldwide and has meant so much to so many people. And for that, we're very grateful, very proud, and I can't think of a show that I could possibly have been associated with that I would have been happier with. So I'm delighted that we're here. I'm delighted that we've made it 50 years, and hopefully we'll make it 75. So let's all hope for that. And that goes for you all in the posse as well.
Gary?
Ditto.
Ditto.
We're not going to let any one of you get off with that easy.
That's a triple play.
We tried to help you
I know.
folks.
I thought LQ was loquacious.
What does that mean?
Don't go into that.
Is that what LQ means?
Yes, that's right. Loquacious, you're right.
You really don't have anything else to say? Come on, Gary. Gary.
We have too many ladies present.
What I'm going to tell you is in. No, I can't tell you that because it's in my book, and I want you to write a book. But one thing I can really. No, I can't tell you that. It's in the book.
Ditto.
But the time. No, this is what I want to tell you. It's in the book, but Doug's not here, and for all of us, Doug was a major part of this show. And I've always somehow known that Doug was one of the primary reasons that I got the part on the show. Because when we tested, I got to test with Doug. Now, we'd known each other a little bit before, been out socially. I didn't get my first kiss from Doug. I'm sorry. No. And when we found out we were going to test together, we took advantage of that and created some shtick, as they called it. And at one point, I jump up in Doug's arms, and he throws me up in the air, and I do a backflip, and whoever the powers that were then appreciated it. And then we did a whole bunch of stuff, Doug and I. And then they put all of the people who were testing that day on stage. Now, here's the thing that you got to know. When we were testing, no other person that was testing was supposed to be on the set. But, let me see, what was his name? Ben the Pooper Cooper snuck on the set. He wanted the part of Steve. So Doug and I played it. And when it came time for us to do what we were going to do as a group, there was like 15 or 20 of us, and they said, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. So Ben pulled out his gun and pointed it at me. I put my finger in the barrel. Doug hung a feather boa on his butt. He did not know it and did the rest of this test scene like that. But Doug and I just hit it off, and I think what the producer saw was a chemistry with Doug and I that certainly fit with Jim, and I've always attributed major part of my getting the part on the Virginian, which was an extraordinary event in my life, because of Doug. So that's what it was for me.
Thanks,
You
guys.
teach him all those words?
Lacocious?
Did you teach him all of that? Oh.
It took a long time. Well, I came into the show in the 5th season, and the 4 seasons prior to that, I wanted to take, well, I do take the majority of the responsibility for getting everybody except Jim and Doug fired. Okay. You know, it felt really good to know that I could have that power. No, what happened actually is that I was on a soap opera that was on 3 nights a week. It was a kind of a strange deal called Peyton Place. And I don't know if you're all too young probably to remember that. But anyway, there was this soap opera on 3 nights a week, prime time. And it was springtime. I got a call from my agent saying, Don, you're on hiatus now. Hiatus means it's a springtime break from all television shooting, except for 20th Century Fox doing this Peyton Place thing. And then, so I get to go up for this part, playing this tough guy, Joe Chernick, and I got the part. It was going to be 3 weeks, and it turned out to be about 5 months. It just kept going and going, and I got quite popular on this particular show, playing this tough guy. And then I got a call from my agent saying, Don, there's a producer over at Universal Studios called Frank Price who wants you to consider being in this series that they're doing, The Virginian. I said, oh, I know The Virginian. That's a really great show and whatever. What am I going to do in it? And they said, well, they want to bring this new family in, and they want you to play the new young, lead of the family with the Charles Bickford, your granddad, and Sarah Lane's going to be your sister. And I said, well, this is exciting. What's the scripts like? Because I was a serious actor back then. You got to understand, real serious. I came from New York, so I said, okay, now let me look at the script, and I read it, and it was really good. And I said, well, let's think about doing this. So we went ahead, and we made a deal, and we shot some shows. I think we shot about 10 of them, didn't we, Jim? Something like that. It was about 10 shows. Really, really well written. The family was all working together, and everybody was really thrilled. They sent me out on a national tour. Do you remember that, Jim? I went to all the cities and did interviews and whatever. And the show, I think, was somewhere in the 4th season. It had dropped down, so Universal was very concerned because they were renegotiating with NBC. It was coming up. The 5th season of 5th year was going to be the last one unless they got a better deal. And so when we came back from this tour and the first 10 shows, the ratings shot up into the top 10. It was an ecstatic thrill for everybody. Everybody was really, really happy. And we said, we won. And so we went on, and the shows were going good. And then all of a sudden, we get a script that comes to us, and it looked to me like it was from an alien show. It didn't have anything to do with the Virginian. And I'm going, what is this all about? And then the next script, it was the same thing. And then I suddenly went to Frank Price, the producer, and I said, what's going on here? And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, these scripts aren't the same scripts and don't have anything to do with what our family was about. And he said, well, we don't have those writers anymore. And I said, you mean you couldn't afford them now that you got the good deal? And he said, listen, this is the way the show works. This is the way the business works. You are going to have to just deal with this. And because I felt, really upset by the whole rigmarole of it, I decided I just wanted out. And for me, I loved the show. I loved Jim. I loved Doug, LQ, everybody that was in it. He almost wanted to beat me up because it was such a snot back in those days. He almost did beat me up, and he could have. But anyway, it was both a thrill for me and a real depression, because when I really did feel like they kind of betrayed us, and Charlie Bickford felt the same way too. He got very ill right after, got kind of pneumonia, and then he died. But after that, I just didn't want to do any more acting, because I felt, you couldn't trust those kind of people that did that. And yeah, I think you're right, Jim. I don't think you can. So anyway, I have very funny feelings about it. I left the show. Actually, they wouldn't let me out of the contract, and I said, "Well, you got to." No, we don't. And then I got sick. I got mononucleosis, hepatitis, and then they thought I'd paid off my doctor to get out of the deal. And then my doctor said they were going to sue. They were going to, right? They were going to sue. He was going to sue them and whatever. And they found out that it was the truth. And so I got out, and that was the end of it. And I didn't think much about the show at all. I mean, I thought, well, it was great. I remember all of the good times that we had. But, it just felt so bad for me. And that was the end of my acting, basically. I think I went and did a Hawaii Five-0 or something. And then I started a sport right after that, which was a lot of fun. But then last year in the springtime, I get this call, and it's, Stace, this is the Virginian. And of course, I pause and I go, yeah, Jim? And he goes, hi, John. It's Jim, Don. I'm calling you. I want you to come up to Memphis and do this thing called The Gathering of Guns. And I said, well, what's that all about? He said, well, it's a wonderful show that these folks do. A guy named Boyd and Donna and Ray, and you're going to have a great time. And I said, well, what do you do? He said, well, you meet the fans. And whenever I said, I'm no good with fans, because when I was back being a young snot actor, I was distanced from everybody. And so I didn't have a clue about what fans were, and I was kind of intimidated. And he said, no, you'll have a wonderful time. So anyway, I came here kind of reluctantly, a little scared, and then last year had the best time of my life. You folks are the real McCoy. You are the most wonderful people.
Ditto.
And I mean, and then I called Boyd about a week ago, and I said, Boyd, my buddy, I was going to bring my buddy with me, and then he got into a business deal. He couldn't come. He was a real cowboy. He would have loved it to death. He was just, but anyway, I said, Boyd, my buddy can't come, so he can't be at the table with me. Can I hire somebody, out of the area here to help me at the table? And he said, don't worry about it. Let me call you back in a minute or two. And he called me back, and he said, the posse's got you covered. And I tell you, the posse is the most incredible group of women I've ever met. They're just all wonderful, beautiful people. And I thank you all so much. It's so wonderful to be here with you and be a part of this now. So this is a great part of my life, being here now.
It's come down to you, Belden.
My God, why is mine short? I don't want any personal comment here, folks. Now then, I'm not sure, but I think the question was, why was I glad to be part of this august body, the Virginian? The truth is, folks, I needed the money. Now, the reason it's fun to be here because you people are as crazy as we are. And that's a lot of fun. But enough of the syrup. I want to tell you something.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
I'm like you. I don't like the damn microphone. Yeah. Right? Okay. So I'll get a little closer. Can you hear me? Okay. If you can't hear me, stick your hand up. Give me a little room there. Folks, it's time that you really probably, since you're not in the business, you may not really understand why these people are really so good. This is a true note to each and every one of us, but especially to them, and especially to Doug. You got to think of it this way. I've been in the business
7. I think it depends on how the budget is going. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Too late. Okay, I'll give you the thing back. Thank you, folks.
I know a lot of you have asked while we were putting this show together, could we get Clu Gulager? Believe me, we tried, Jim tried, Diane tried. Diane, maybe you could address it. Clu, yes.
I really need you guys to let me tell Clu how much you want him here. And I will pass that on because he's really special. And I think he'd love this. I think he just can't imagine how wonderful. I couldn't imagine. Jim kept telling me. I mean, I would talk to Jim on the phone. I'd say, Jim, can you talk now? Sure, I'm going about 75 miles an hour on the highway. I said, well, maybe we should talk later. No, I'm fine. I mean, Jim's amazing. He really is. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Jim. It sounds like Don has the same story.
I surely do.
Well, you know,
Sarah, he really...
I talked to Clu several times about this particular show and about other shows, and his standard answer is, Jim, nobody knows who I am. Well, everybody in the world knows who Clu Gulager is. He is one of the most unique, as Diane says, special actors. His performances are always brilliant and inspired and unrepeatable. That nobody could follow Clu Gulager, and nobody could ever imitate what he does, because what he does is so weird and so effective that you can't believe your eyes when you look at him. And he'd come down here and tear everything up, and I can't understand why he won't come, but he won't so far anyway. He hasn't. Maybe just we'll pray for a miracle and everybody write him a letter. I don't know what else it'll take. But he just doesn't think anybody likes him or anybody knows him. And you all like him and you all know him. And you'd all come see him.
Jim, does he teach an acting class now? Does he teach an acting class, Diane?
I believe he does.
Because what we ought to do is we just got to go down there to his acting class and corral him and just say, that's the end of it, bud. You're coming. You know.
In September when
right. I'm saying we're in September. We'll all get together.
And we'll all go over there and see him.
Right, don't you think?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent idea. Very good idea.
If you
let's do that.
If you could do a little video or something, I've shown him things on my iPad.
We've got it.
He's a little bit with Jim in terms of how much he loves the internet. I think they could have a situation to see which one likes the internet more, whether it's Jim or Clu. But he has looked at things on my iPad. And if we could do a little video, if you
We've
guys
got,
could
Diane,
just,
we've got the video.
Everybody, the posse could say, we want Clu, we want Clu.
Say it right now because it's being taped.
There you go.
Terry's taping that right over here, and we're going to get a copy of that to Clu.
Well,
we're going to do it.
It is very important to him to me, it seems very important to him, to his life, to know how people feel about him and how much they've enjoyed his performances over the years. And believe me, he should come and understand that and have that in his life, because it would be a very important thing for him. But, you know, sometimes you can talk to a wall and sometimes you can't talk to a wall. That's how it is. So we'll send him the video. We'll send him the video.
I'll give it to him personally.
Diane will take it. Diane.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Great. Jim, I want you to talk a little bit about your old bag.
Oh, about my old bag. Well,
What we're going to do with it.
my old bag is about 40 years old, and it has had a rough life. It has been kicked and thrown and pounded and run over and screamed at and just overloaded to the point where it comes with its own brand new bungee cords because it's the only way you can get it closed. But we're going to take that old bag and we're going to auction it off, I guess at the banquet. At the banquet. And Boyd is going to be the auctioneer. I've got him talked into that. And we're going to, first of all, we had a plan to get a permit and take it out here in front of the hotel and burn it. Put gasoline on it and set fire to it. But we can't get a fire permit, and we certainly don't want to do it without a fire permit because the police would come and arrest us, put us all in jail. So, well, that's right. So we can't do that, so we're going to auction it off. And I had a thought. Some of you may have seen a recent HBO documentary on Dolores Hart and her nunnery up in Connecticut. It's Order of Benedictine nuns that are doing great work up there, and she's trying to raise money to repair her infrastructure. Her buildings are falling down and all that. She's been there since the day after she finished her guest star role on the Virginian. She got on a plane and went to the nunnery. And I wondered if it was something I said or something I did, but it was
that swearing probably.
It could have been that swearing, but the role she played was a Christian missionary going to minister to the Yaqui Indians, much against my advice. I told her, don't go, don't stay, don't have anything to do with these Indians. They'll boil you and put you in a pot and eat you. And she said, no, I'm going to tend to the sick. And she did. And, of course, I rode off into the sunset. And the next thing I knew, she was in Connecticut. And it was something that she had felt she had to do. She had a calling. And she told me recently, she said, nobody was more angry than I was that I had to come and do this. But I had to, and that was all there was to it. Now she's making a worldwide appeal for some funds. And I thought we'd auction off my old bag, and whatever we get, we'll send to Dolores. So that's the size of that.
We're going to do it at the banquet on Saturday night. You bet.
So dig deep for some money because it's going to Dolores and it's going to a good cause.
You bet. And Jim's going to autograph that bag, and there's going to be a special still to go with it.
Yeah, you can have a picture of your choice autograph that'll go with the bag. You take it home and put it on your mantelpiece, or maybe you could burn it in your backyard. It might be a good plan.
Okay, let's open it up for some questions. Who's got questions for this? Yes, ma'am. The name LQ. LQ.
Yes. You can hear me in the back, can't you, for Christ's sake? Okay. My real name is Justice McQueen. That's what I was born with, I think. And when I did my first picture, which was Battle Cry, and we got through with it, and the studio wanted to change it, I said, hell, as long as the checks keep coming, you call me anything you like. So they changed my name to the character in Battle Cry, which was LQ Jones. That's all I didn't know that.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, the little boy. Yes, go ahead.
Speak up.
Yep. Who?
Maybe you can run up here.
Yeah, come up here. Oh, there.
Today's his sister's birthday.
Oh, his sister's birthday. Want to sing happy birthday?
What's your name? Alexander.
Happy birthday, Alexandra.
Can we sing? Let's sing.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Alexandra. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, there she is.
And many more.
Nick.
Where's Clint's cake? Yes. Have any of you been in Ireland before?
Except for me. I don't know.
Almost.
Have you been to Ireland?
Yes, several times. To play the Irish love country music, and I've been on there on tour several times. I said it. The Irish love country music, and I've been over there on tour several times, and I've had a great time.
That's great.
Singing country music in Ireland, and doing quite a bit of drinking with some fabulous drinkers too. Yeah.
We get to the real reason. For this singing crap.
Right.
Okay, who's got another one? Yes, right down here, ma'am. Still ride a horse, LQ?
Top side or bottom side? Listen, I don't know about the rest of you, but I rode, let's see, I've done maybe 500, 600 shows. Almost every time you have a new horse. So you have to get used to it, sports fans, believe me. Because my consensus is, and I'm not sure you'll bear me up, horses are just slightly dumber than chickens. So in trying to stay alive, you learn to stay aboard. They've taught me several lessons. My voice has gone up in key about 20 degrees after about 10 of the rides. But yes, ma'am, I still put a leg up occasionally.
Okay. Yes.
Well, Sammy's a nut to begin with. Talking about pistol toting Sam? Right, okay.
We used to say about Sam Fuller, more smoke, more smoke, more smoke. Whenever there was a scene where there was a gunfight, he'd want more smoke. And he got the guys out there with smoke pots putting smoke in. That's about all I ever heard from him.
Well, I'm not depreciating. The man came along at a time, sport fans, where they learned about pictures, and he really was. I didn't like the stuff he did, but he was knowledgeable about what the mass audience wanted to see.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he was
Yeah.
great for actors because he kept looking for a little bit more, and you keep straining to help. And it's challenges like that, and Jim knows first. But you have to really understand something. This wasn't a TV show that was shot in 30 minutes that had the same cast every time. Jim worked in a spot where every, not just most, everyone used the biggest stars in our business, so that you get to the point where you feel like you ought to get on your knees just to talk to them, for Christ's sake. Charlie Bickford, Lee J. Cobb in a television show. But this is what Jim had to work with, and if you don't think that's a little nerve-wracking, you don't understand the business.
Well, the wonderful thing about it, LQ, is that when you work with people like that, you got to bring your game up to theirs. And,
My God, you hit the mark, so you're dead.
and you don't. There's no margin for error. Those people come down there ready to go, and you'd better be ready to go, and then some, or you're going to, the whole thing would fall apart. So we just brought our game up. Everyone here brought their game up. Everyone here put their heart and soul into what they had to do, and there were no exceptions, no slackers. Everybody here worked so hard to make the thing seem to be the illusion of reality, and And if we accomplished it, and I guess we did, because you're all here, we did it because it was a team effort, and everyone supported everyone else. There was nobody was upstage. Everybody was right on the money. So that's how it worked.
Yes.
I believe about 70 other actors. And I don't know how I got so lucky. I don't know how I got so lucky, but I did a screen test, and they said, "You're too fat. Go lose some weight." So I lost about 10 pounds and did another screen test. They said, "You're too fat. Go lose some weight." So I ran my butt off in the Los Angeles River and worked out twice a day at Vince's gym. And in 30 days, I lost 30 pounds. And I came back and they said, "You're not too fat. Here's the part. You can do it now."
It's probably interesting that the audience should know that television adds weight, or movies add weight to you in the first place.
Not 15 pounds that you're not even carrying, but that's what it looks like.
All Jim had to do was take his money belt off. He lost the weight in 5 seconds.
Well, I was afraid to do that.
Yes. You. Yes. Yeah. You.
Yeah.
You. You. Blue shirt. You.
Oh. Well, they bought a 2-year license. They bought a 2-year license for the Virginian from Universal. That gave them the license to show the show for 2 years, and they showed it for 2 years, and then it was over with. So in order to show it again, they'll have to buy another year license or 2-year license. I don't know how that works, but they'll have to come up with the money to buy another license. And Universal is notorious for being difficult to work with. So I don't know what the situation is, but I know that it is not cheap to get the license to do it. I know they'll stick it to them every way they can.
Well, meanwhile, Timeless Video has released how many seasons now, Jim?
They've done everything but 7 and 8, and 7's I think out now.
So buy the Timeless DVDs, and you'll have every
all
one.
9 seasons will be out before the end of the summer,
including Men from Shiloh, which is already out.
That's already
Encore
out.
Never showed.
That's already out. And they're also coming out with a 50th anniversary edition of the Virginian in one package, which will have 6 or 8 shows from each season. So that will be available as well. But in order to really enjoy the show, you should buy them all and bring them to us to autograph them, and we'll stick it to you.
Yes, ma'am. With the glasses, yes. You?
Yeah.
You?
Well, there's a lot of favorite episodes. I personally have a lot of favorite episodes, but there's some episodes that have just been so popular. There's one called Felicity Spring with Catherine Crawford that was just so well received, and everybody talks about it to this day. And a lot of people talk about The Drifter, which is the first show when the Virginian comes to Shiloh. And then one of my favorites is called The Portrait of Marie Vallone, which was Madeline Rue, took place in New Orleans. And it had a mysterious quality to it. And I always thought that was a very, very well done show. And then Mountain of the Sun with Dolores Hart is also one of my very favorite episodes. I thought that everything worked very well. We had Jeanette Nolan playing with Dolores and another lady. And they were missionaries, and they did such great work in the show. And the heavies were wonderful. The villains were wonderful. The Mexican villains were wonderful. It was just all worked. It worked so well. One thing I'd like to say while I'm on the subject, LQ is so kind to say that we faced this monumental challenge, but I want you to remember something. Jack Warner said to everybody, a picture's got to be made in 6 days. And when they made those great pictures at Warner Brothers, they started on Monday and they finished on Saturday. And that's how they made Casablanca. So if they can make Casablanca in 6 days, we ought to be able to make the Virginian in 8. That's all I can say.
They didn't have to do 92 of them, folks.
No, they didn't have to do 92, no. And they didn't have to do it every week.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. You with the bonnet.
Yeah, you're it.
How I what?
How you got your outfit?
Oh, they had designers that designed all kinds of different concepts for the outfits, and we just all of us worked with the designers and with the sketches and everything, and tried to pick out what worked for me, for my body type and all that. And as long as I didn't gain weight, we were all right.
Well, the hat
Too kind. They actually had 82 silkworms working.
the hat changed during the end. Was there a reason for that? Do you remember?
You mean for the men from Shiloh?
Yeah.
We changed everything. They wanted a quote new look, so we gave them a new look. Bigger hat, different clothes,
Longer sideburns.
7.5-inch barrel Colts instead of a 5.5-inch barrel, a new horse, all that. Nobody watched. Then, but watch it now. It's not a bad show. It really is not a bad show. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, then
Every story about Ralph is funny.
Okay,
Gary was on a series called
Hondo. And Ralph Tager played the part of Hondo. It was based on the movie Hondo. Yeah. And it was, working with Ralph was, I don't know, LQ, unique. Uniquely unusual is what we would call it. And when I think of Ralph, I think of one of the very few people I've known in my life who actually have muscle in their hair. He was like that. He was ominous. Thank the Lord that we got along. But he had a few quirks. This is in the book.
That's what he was. He was crazy.
Yeah.
That was his quirk.
I didn't want to say that's well. One of his
Takes one to know.
yes. One of his quirks was crazy. That's all.
Tell him first. Do you know who Ralph Taggart was? Remember his voice? Do you? He sounded exactly like Humphrey Bogart. I mean, exactly. There was no choice. So you understand the stories that he went through.
Ralph was in every shot at the beginning, and how can I put this? It was difficult for Ralph to leave the set. First of all, the town was built on a sound stage. The whole sound stage was filled with about 2 feet of dirt, and on top of the dirt was this town. The general store, the barber shop, the bank, the jail, is all on this sound stage. And we did most of the shooting there. Ralph was in every shot to begin with. And he found it difficult to get from the sound stage 100 yards away to the men's room. Yes, I am. So Ralph had to find a spot on the sound stage where he could leave his mark. And he did. And it became fairly well known because he.
Left one part out.
Which one?
One of the tourists was in the building.
Oh, no.
Well, no, there's another one, LQ. Another one. A reporter came on to do an interview. A very nice lady reporter. And she came on and she was all excited about doing this interview with Ralph. And she says, I'm looking for Mr. Tager. Now, Pidge, who was, just forgot his name. Noel Berry Jr., thank you. And I were standing there, and we saw Ralph just go around the corner. And everybody was saying, oh, I don't know where he is. I said, I know where he is. He's right around there. So she goes around, Mr. Tager, Mr. Tager. Yeah? I was wondering if you... I'll wait. Well, she was gone. So word got out. Now you have to understand, MGM, we're shooting at MGM. The head of MGM, Avery, I think his name was, the head of the studio, the head of production, and the producer of the show come walking on the stage. And they had this look. So we don't know if the show is canceled. Perhaps John Wayne is going to star. We don't know. And they go right up to Ralph. And the producer says, Ralph. Ralph says, hello, gentlemen. And the head of the studio says, Ralph, you're going to have to stop peeing on the set. They had a 15-minute conversation about this. So, three of the biggest people in the industry are talking to Ralph about marking his marks. And they said, that's it. That's all we're going to know. That's it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. You handle it, Ralph. You take care of it.
Tell him to handle it.
That slipped out, LQ. That slipped out. So they walk off, and Ralph looks at him and said, oh, I don't know what they expect me just to pee my pants. And he did. Standing there. And he did it as a joke. He did it several times. Now, we had this wardrobe man. I don't remember his name, but in the book I call him Bob. And Bob comes up to me. Now, he was a sweetheart, so no offense intended, but he was gay. And he came up to me and he said, I'm quitting. I said, Bob, what are you talking about? I can't stand it. What? He just keeps peeing his pants and leaves them in his dressing room, and I have to just clean it up. I said, have you ever spoken to him? Can you just talk to him? He's rational. He will listen. So he says, I hadn't thought of that, but I'll do it. So I said to Ralph, Ralph, Bob is going to talk to you about this. He says, I'll take care of it, Gary. So he goes up to him, and he says, Ralph, I just can't, it's just terrible. And you're doing, and it's just, can you imagine what it's like? I just, and he says, well, I suppose I have to tell you because you should know. I didn't want anybody else to know because I didn't want to lose my job. You see, I only have a 30-second notice before I have to go, and I can't, and sometimes I just can't help myself. And Bob fell apart. Oh, Ralph, don't you worry. I'll take care of everything. It is just, no, it's okay. It's all right. The next day, all of Ralph's kind of orangish yellow khaki pants were all clean and hung up. Anyway, they were hung up there. And there were 2 giant litter boxes in his dressing room. Bob never had a problem after that. So that's
Crazy. You know,
he could have. LQ just made a point, and maybe he could have waterproofed his pants. I don't know, but who cares? That's the story.
Aren't so funny to us anymore, huh?
Diane, did you want to add something? Diane, did you want to add something?
No, it was I, and I said, I said the jokes about incontinence as we all get older are kind of a mixed blessing.
We all understand Ralph a little bit
Better now.
every year that goes by.
Well,
Gary and I did a hondo together with Ralph, and I think you're screening it, right, Boyd?
Yes, we are.
That would be fun. I'd like to see this person.
He doesn't do that in this show, though.
And you thought you had problems with Jim swearing.
it could have been worse.
Got time for one or two more, and then we got a kind of a special treat for you. And you were,
This poor lady's had her.
Yeah, yes.
well,
Yes.
Maxine's coming. We're getting to Maxine. But
Oh, okay.
She's just waving
Slow
at me.
down.
She's waving at me.
She's waving at you.
Yeah, I waved
I
at her.
thought she was waving at me.
Oh, how very easy. It could be either one of us.
She's waving at both of us.
Maybe she's a plant.
Yes, ma'am.
Having to do that much production in that short of a time, I read that you were doing 2 and 3 shows, like on the same day or in the same week.
As many as 5 at one time.
Okay? How did you guys ever remember as you went from one end of town to the other to film something else? How did you keep track of which show you were doing, or script, that you were doing at the time, and what you were supposed to do when you got there?
Oh, Lord, it's hard to be humble. When you're perfect in every way. We just did it. It had to be done. That's all. You
Did
just
you have people there
lot of
that
help.
would meet you at each spot and say, this is the episode that has this or that? Well,
you had a script supervisor on each set who holds the script. It's usually a lady. It's sometimes guys did it, but whoever did took care of the continuity on the show. They in other words, if somebody had a spoon in this spot on the table in one take of a shot, that spoon has got to be there to match in the next take of the shot. They're watching that, but they're also watching if the actors are doing the lines correctly, because if you mess up the lines or mess up the show, it can throw a paradigm into the script, and nothing will make sense. So they're watching you, but I'm watching the script supervisor. That's who I'm watching, because I want to see one time what those lines are and then go on and do it. I have it together with a few other actors that I've known, a facility for learning my lines instantaneously, and it's something that I was born with. I didn't develop it. It's just a photographic memory for dialogue. I can't remember my own phone number half the time, but I can remember lines of plays that I did 45, 50 years ago that I wish I could forget. So, that's how it worked with me. And I don't know about the others. You had a pretty much of a photographic memory too, didn't you?
Huh?
Diane?
Doug was the same way.
I have a little story that sort of relates to that. I think it might be on the schedule, I don't know, but we were doing a show with James Whitmore, fine actor, and I think it was called Nobody Says Hello, something like that. Anyway, there was a long shot, and I remember James Whitmore and his son, who I was sweet on in that show, and I can't remember. I think there were maybe it was and his wife and I, and filmed. I guess I should be careful how I use the word shot right now. Let us say we were filmed walking across the street. And I remember thinking, because I was so serious, where are we in the script? I didn't know what's going on here. I wasn't sure because it was all filmed out of context, and sometimes two shows at the same time or more, as you said. And I was thinking, wait, but I have to know where we are and what's going on in the story and what I feel. And James Whitmore turned to me and he said, "Don't worry about it. Just walk. The music will tell him what's going on."
If we could probably be here all day, but if you liked what you're seeing here today, Maxine Hansen of Autry Entertainment and I have arranged a Virginian reunion at the Autry Museum in Los Angeles, September 22nd this year. And Maxine, can you come up here and talk a little bit about it? And I'm going to hand the mic down to you, if you can make way for her. Maxine is one of the, without going into a lot of detail, I will tell you that Maxine is one of the most courageous and beautiful ladies that I have ever met in my life. I mean that sincerely.
Well, I'm from Gene Autry's personal office, Gene Autry Entertainment. And, of course, Gene built the museum in Los Angeles, the Autry Museum of Western Heritage. And that's in Los Angeles. We're so proud to bring the Virginian cast home to sunny Southern California.
We're so glad to come.
Where it all began. So this is going to be Saturday, September 22nd. And we're going to have a whole day with the Virginian cast. We're going to have a panel. We're going to show films. We're going to have the cast available for doing what they do best, meeting, greeting, taking pictures, signing autographs.
Jerry will not tell his Ralph Tager story.
I'm going to have these boys well in hand. I know you guys now.
You're just
You better
lucky
watch
Ralph
it.
Tager didn't do it in the museum.
You better not. Well, let me tell you, you're dealing with an Autry girl now. And boy. Anyway, the Autry Museum deals with the factual and also, of course, with the silver screen. And the Virginian is one of my very favorite shows. And I think you'll all agree it created a lot of magic for us that just goes down the ages. So I'm so proud you're going to be coming aboard. And I hope all of you will, too. All of you Virginian posse, okay?
We're so honored and happy to come.
Oh, more? Okay. Well, here's the deal. To get into the museum on Saturday will open at 10 o'clock. It's basically $10 to get in to see all the exhibits. And we have some wonderful, amazing exhibits on Kachinas, on fabulous new exhibit on Colt guns. Basically, the museum is the history all the way from the conquistadores all the way through to the modern-day cowboy and, of course, the silver screen cowboy and everything in between. So the museum's open from 10 to 4 p.m., and the cast will be available. We're going to do a 1 o'clock panel with Boyd, the moderator, who does such a great job, and the Virginian cast. We'll be showing 3 episodes, and, of course, the cast will be available throughout the day to sign autographs, except when they're in the panel. And I've even arranged for an incredible photographer. Yes. This gentleman, if you watch TV nowadays and you see maybe on somebody's desk a little picture or something like that, this is the guy that 90% of the time takes the photographs for all the wonderful films and everything, and he's been Gene's photographer for many years. So he's going to be around to take pictures of all of you, and we'll make sure you get them for whoever comes, and, of course, the Virginian cast.
That's a terrific thing to do. You're going to be able to send them to the fans for the pictures that they get.
Exactly.
That's just terrific, Maxine.
Exactly, but you've got to watch this guy because he likes to use pictures for, like, TV shows. So he'll probably come around to you and go, hey, you'd make a great person for being in jail or something like that. Actually, I've even been on the cover, too, as a mad woman. Anyway, when the $10 will get you in, basically if you're a senior, it's $6. If you've been in the military or you're active or you're a veteran, you get in for free, courtesy of Gene Autry, Sergeant Gene Autry, who was in the military, flight sergeant. And And, of course, children are welcome. Basically, the museum will close at 4 o'clock. And then at 4 o'clock, something very special happens. At 5 o'clock, we're going to have a chuck wagon dinner. And let me tell you something. We have the best in-house caterer ever. We really, really do.
We'll look forward to that.
Good. And so the chuck wagon dinner is $50. And you basically sign up and you can come. You can join the Virginian cast. And, of course, we have a few surprises for the Virginian cast, but I'm not going to tell those, okay? No. I hope you like surprises, Mr. Drury.
Absolutely.
Gene didn't, but I hope you do.
I don't always like them, but...
So that's it.
When you
Again,
get them, you get them.
I hope a lot of you will come to California and join us because this is where it all began.
Well, it sure did. And
I have a question. I understood that Ralph Tiger was going to be the photographer.
He's going to wear shorts.
LQ. Let me tell you something. Mrs. Autry calls me her pit bull, so you better watch it, honey.
Thank you, Maxine. We're all going to be there. Now we got a bit of a special treat for you. I want to introduce Gary Clark, who is going to...
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you're going to create a baseball team out of the Virginian posse.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, well, let's...
Can we get that mic down there?
We can get this mic.
I heard that.
You have to poke it through the curtain there. Yeah. Here.
Yes, I talk that way better. Yeah, Boyd and I have been talking about this for a while, that there needs to be a little more physical activity. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the posse members, but first we want to also be able to include people who come and visit the film festival. So we're going to create a baseball team. Among all of the posse people, it'll be a great team. You'll all have your own special names. You'll be able to do what all the big-time baseball players do.
Hey, Dad!
What do you want, Eva?
Is it true?
Yes.
Is it really true? Are you the manager for the Gathering Guns baseball team?
Yes, we just organized it.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Well, I'd like to play on the team myself. You know, I know a couple things about baseball.
Absolutely. That could be accomplished.
You know, I'd like to get to know some of the players' names. That way, when I meet them on the street or on the ballpark, I can say hello to them.
Absolutely. I will introduce you to the players. And, you know, funny, they give ball players nowadays very peculiar names.
You mean funny names?
Yeah, nicknames, pet names like Dizzy Dean.
I'm their brother Daffy.
Daffy? Daffy?
I'm their French cousin.
Who's that?
Sorry. I'm their French cousin.
Who's that?
Gouffet.
Gouffet Dean, you see, that's a little joke. Okay, never mind that. We'll move on. Now that we've blown the beginning, we'll move on. We have on the bags, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
That's what I want to find
silly
out.
Names. I said, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
Are you the manager?
Yes.
Well, do you know the fella's names?
Well, I should.
Well, then who's on first?
Yes.
I mean, the fella's name.
That's it.
Well, that's who?
Who?
So go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who is on first?
Have you got a first baseman?
Yes.
Well, then tell me who's on first.
That's right.
I want to know what's the guy's name on first base.
No, what's on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third.
Oh.
Come on, we have to get together here. Come on.
How did I get on first base?
You mentioned his name.
If I mentioned the first baseman's name, who did I say was playing first?
That's right. Who is playing first? You mentioned who was on third, but he's not. He's on first.
Well, who is on third?
Who's on first?
I want to know what's the guy's name on third base.
What's on second?
I'm not asking who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
Third base.
There I go, back on third again.
Well, I can't change their names.
Look,
Yeah.
you got a first baseman?
Yes.
When you pay him off every month, who gets the money?
Every dollar of it. Why not? The man's entitled to it.
Well, who is?
Yes.
So who gets it?
Sure he does. Well, sometimes his wife comes down and collects it.
Whose wife?
Yes.
Look, all I want to find out is what's the guy's name on first base.
No, what's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on
third.
Third base, that's right.
I'm,
Third base.
I'm picking up on it now.
It's about time.
You got an outfield?
Of course.
Well, the left fielder's name.
Why?
I just thought I'd ask you.
Well, I just thought I'd tell
Well,
you.
then tell me who's playing left field.
Who's on first?
Stay out of the infield.
Oh, come on.
I want to know what's the left fielder's name.
What's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third
Third
base.
base.
The left fielder's name?
Why?
Because.
Oh, he's center field.
No. Look, you got a pitcher on the team?
Oh, wouldn't this be a fine team without a pitcher?
The pitcher's name.
Tomorrow.
Well, you don't want to tell me today?
I'm telling you, honey.
Well, go ahead.
Tomorrow.
What time?
What time what?
What time tomorrow? You're going to tell me who's pitching?
Now listen, who
I'll
is on...
bite your nose. You say who's on first. I want to know what's the pitcher's
What's
name.
on second?
I don't know. Third base. You got a catcher?
Yes.
The catcher's name.
Today.
Today, and tomorrow's pitching.
No, you got
Oh,
it.
now I got it. All I got is a couple of days
Well,
on
I
it.
can't help that.
A couple of days.
Don't get excited.
Who's getting excited?
Take it easy. Take it easy.
You know, I'm a pretty good catcher myself.
Yes, I heard that.
Now, I'll pose a scenario here.
Okay.
I'm going to catch today.
Yes.
Myself.
You're
I'm
going
going
to
to
catch.
catch.
You're the catcher.
And tomorrow's pitching on the team.
Good.
Now, tomorrow throws the ball, and the guy up bunts the ball.
Bunts the ball.
Now, when he bunts the ball,
Yes.
me, being the good catcher, I'm going
Yes.
to throw the guy out at first base.
Yes.
So I pick up the ball and throw it to who?
Oh, that's the first thing you've said right.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
But that's all you have to do.
To throw the ball to first base?
Yes.
Now, who's got it?
Naturally.
If I throw the ball to first base, somebody's got to get it.
Yes.
Now, who's got it?
Naturally.
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 Oh, so I throw the ball to naturally.
You do nothing of the kind. You throw the ball to who?
Naturally.
Yes.
That's what I said.
You didn't say it like that.
But do I throw the ball to naturally?
But you don't.
I throw it to who?
Naturally.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not saying it that way.
All right.
Yes.
I throw the ball to who?
Naturally.
You ask me.
You throw the ball to who?
Naturally.
Yes.
Same as
That-
you.
Oh.
I throw the ball to who?
Naturally.
Naturally. Now, whoever it is drops the ball and the guy runs to second.
Yes.
Who picks up the ball and throws it to what? What throws it to? I don't know. I don't know. Throws it right back to tomorrow.
Wow.
Triple play.
Great.
Another guy gets up and hits a long fly ball to because. Why? I don't know. He's on third and I don't give a darn.
What'd you say?
I said I don't give a darn.
Oh, that's our shortstop.
Oh.
Gary Clark and his daughter Ava.
We're going to do
Wonderful.
a little.
Nice round of applause. Once again. In 1 second. Okay. I also want to mention you're going to get to see another performance by somebody on this stage tonight in the amphitheater. I think there may be a few tickets left. Roberta Shore and her husband Ron Fredrickson, who's over here, substituting for Will Hutchins tonight. If you have never seen the play Love Letters, you will be amazed. This is a fabulous play that hundreds and hundreds of actors have done, and you're going to get an opportunity to see it tonight in the amphitheater. At 7 o'clock. Doors will open at 6:30. Okay, Gary, once again.
I'm not trying to get a laugh or anything, but if I don't get out of here, you're going to have a Ralph Teague on your hands.
Now you know where Ralph learned it.
I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this second part before, and I'm going to have to take a powder. That's all right. Thank you very much for everything. You are excused.
The Virginian, the one and only Virginian.
Be careful. Clear the way, please. There's a little change of pace right now. This is a story about actually two girls, and Ava will explain everything to you as she goes, so I won't say anything else except Ava. We're waiting for a prop.
A propeller?
Yeah. There's you want to set it up?
Is everyone having a good time? Well, good. In case you didn't know, I'm Ava. I'm Gary Clark's daughter. And,
We all have a cross to bear.
I have nothing to say.
Smart.
Well, this is our second year here at the Gathering of Guns Festival, and last year was a ton of fun for me. And I've seen a lot of people that I met last year, and I've seen a lot of new people, and I've just enjoyed every minute of both years. And last year I told a story about a girl named Stacy, and this year I've been invited to tell it again. So, Stacy was a girl who loved God and loved others, and it didn't matter what you did or what kind of mistakes you made or who you were. She loved you. And Stacy is no longer with us today, but her legacy lives on. And she was the first person. She would be the first person to tell you that all you have to do is love one another, and then God would take care of the rest. So, I have to do this with a mic stand, so please forgive me. This is my doing.
Maybe Ralph has that much trouble with his pants.
Aha. Now we're ready.
Now we all got the old spin.
So, this is the story of Stacy through the eyes of a girl named Julie. So, with your permission. Hi, my name is Julie, and I'm supposed to tell you the story about a girl named Stacy. So, here it goes. Well, I guess it all started when I was walking down the hallway at school, and, well, I dropped my books. And that might not be a big deal for you, but for me, it's a whole production trying to pick them back up, you know. So I'm standing there in the hallway, and I'm looking at my books, and I'm trying to use the force, you know. But the force was not with me. And then all of a sudden, this pretty blonde girl walks up to me, and she says, well, hi, my name is Stacy. What's yours? I look up at her, and I'm kind of shocked. Wow. I look at her, I say, my name is Julie. And she says, well, hi, Julie. How about I carry your books to your next class for you? And she says, I say, well, all right. So she picks up my books, and we walk to my next class. And on the way there, she's talking to me, telling me all about herself, just the sweetest girl that I'd ever met. And we got to my class, my geometry class, and she put my books down on my desk and then headed for the door. And that was it. I thought to myself, well, good for you, Stacy. You did your good deed for the day. And I went to sit down, but then she turned in the doorway and looked at me and said, Julie, I got a great idea. How about you come with me and my friends to the roller skating rink tonight? And I said, well, Stacy, I would love to, but I don't do so well on wheels. And she said, that's okay. I will help you. So I said, okay. So her mom picked us up from school that day, and we went to the roller skating rink. You should have been there. I don't know who was more scared, me or the guy I handed my money to saying, size 7.5, please. Stacy walked me over to a bench, and she sat me down and put on my skates for me. And I just sat there for a few minutes just watching everybody skate. It just felt really great to be a part of a group, you know? And then after a little bit, Stacy broke away from her crowd of friends, and she came over to me, and she said, well, Julie, come over and skate with us. And I said, oh, no, I can't. And she said, oh, no, it's okay, Julie, it's fun. And I said, no, I can't. She says, Julie, I will help you. So I said, okay. So she walked me out onto that rink. This leg went that way, and this leg went that way. Everybody's eyes were the size of saucers. I looked at them, I said, it's okay. I'm a professional skater. With Stacy's help, I made it around the rink twice. It was awesome. So that evening, her mom picked us up and she dropped me off at my house. And Stacy looked at me and said, well, Julie, I got another great idea. This weekend, my family's having a cookout and going swimming at my house. Why don't you come? It'd be fun. And I said, well, Stacy, I'm all for the food, but this body don't float. Stacy laughed and said, that's okay. I will help you. So I said, okay. Saturday morning came around and my mom dropped me off at Stacy's house, and it felt so good to feel the sun on my body. I don't get out much. Everybody was swimming and cooking and having a good time, and then Stacy got out of the pool and came over to me and said, well, Julie, come swim with us. And I said, I'm fine right here on the chair. And she said, no, come on. I said, no, I can't. And she said, Julie, I will help you. I said, okay. So I got down into the shallow end of the pool, and I'm standing there. I'm like, wee, you know. Then Stacy looked at me and said, no, come on, Julie. It's more fun in the deep end. And I said, I can't swim, Stacy. And she says, I will help you. And she held out her arms and let me float there in the water. It was great. After everybody finished swimming, we got out and we had some hamburgers. And Stacy was telling me all about the dreams and the goals she had for her life. And I could tell you right now, this girl could change the world if she wanted to. But then she stopped short and she looked at me and said, well, Julie, what are your goals? What dreams do you have? I shook my head. I said, I don't have any dreams, Stacy. She said, oh, no, everybody has dreams. I said, no, not me. And she kept persisting, and she kept pushing the issue, and I didn't want to talk about it, so I got frustrated with her. And I looked at her, and I said, fine, Stacy, you want to know my dream? Here's my dream. In my dream, this leg, it is no longer out of place. And this old hip is right in line with my spine, and I can run and I can jump, and it's no problem. And these hands, these arms are no longer crippled. And I can pick up my books in the hallway if I need to, and I don't need anybody's help. And I don't need these glasses to see anymore. And this mouth, it's normal like everyone else's. And I sound like everyone else, and I can go to school. And I have friends. And I don't wake up in the morning and hate who I see. But then I realize it's only a dream. We sat there in silence for a moment or so, much like it is right now. And then Stacy looked at me. She said something that I'll never forget. She looked at me and said, Julie, that's the dumbest dream I've ever heard. I looked at her and said, well, you sure know how to make a crippled girl feel good. She shook her head. She says, oh, Julie, you don't get it. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. I said, no, Stacy, you don't get it. I'm a joke. She said, oh, Julie, you spend too much time looking on the outside when you should realize that God does not look as man looks. For God does not look on the outward appearance. God looks on the heart. She said, Julie, you got a great heart. I said, thank you. And from then on, I know she was right. Because of a girl named Stacy, my life was different. Thank you.
Gary, you should be very, very proud, and I know you are, of your daughter. And thank you all for coming. Randy Boone, Sarah Lane, Diane Roeder, Roberta Shore, Don Quine, and L.Q. Jones, Gary Clark,
Auctioning them off for only
and the
$4.
Virginian, James Drury. Thank you.